6 doe and 1 4-point, so I know the deer are in here. We just got to get them to walk past. I just had a doe work her way through. I think she was actually maybe headed this way. I saw her at the last minute, but she came in right downwind to me here, and she wasn't real spooked. She never blew or anything, but definitely knew something was up, so. But at the rate, makes me feel pretty good about this spot that they're coming through here, so.
Alright guys, so that night I got down from the stand. It was about dark. It was maybe about a half an hour before dark when I shot, and I sat up in the stand, made a mental note of what happened, where the deer was standing, so that when I got down I could hopefully find the arrow. I ended up getting down. It's dark. I had my headlamp, which is a really good headlamp, but everything looks different in the dark. So I'm, trying to be as quiet as possible, not knowing how the hit was. I wasn't sure if it was like a gut shot where he was going to bed within earshot of me, or a liver shot possibly. The reaction kind of made me think that could have been the case. A lot of times when you liver shot a deer, it will run briefly, and then it'll slow to a walk. It'll kind of walk out of sight, and then it'll bed within 100 to 200 yards. So not knowing if that deer was right there somewhere, I was being as quiet as I could and as cautious as I could. I was 100% sure it wasn't a instantly fatal shot, or a real quick fatal shot like a heart shot or a double lung, just by the reaction. So I decided to back out and come back in the morning when I had more light to find my arrow. I ended up finding it pretty close to where I was looking. But when we got up to the arrow, I was a little disappointed. There's a little blood on the fletchings. The shaft had some hairs on it. No guts. It didn't stink or anything like that, so I knew it wasn't a gut shot or a paunch shot. And a liver, generally you have a lot of blood on the arrow. So at this point, I'm pretty positive that it's not a fatal shot for this deer. So we ended up getting down on our hands and knees. We found blood. We tracked it for about 250 yards. Some of the spots was extremely hard to find blood. It was like just a drip here, a drip there. There's like one spot where there's like a little puddle about like that where he must have stood for a few minutes, but very, very light, faint blood trail. So we ran out of blood after about 250 yards, and we decided to call it. I mean, given the arrow, there's almost no blood on it. I initially thought the shot might have been low, and the arrow pretty much pretty much confirmed that for me. So it's unfortunate. What I think happened was I ranged it when I got to that spot where my arrow was the next morning. It was about 35, 36 yards, and I judged him for 30, and I held low as I judged him for 30 because he was alert. He was kind of looking my direction, and I was pretty sure he was going to try to duck that arrow. And sure enough, he did try to duck the arrow, but I think the combination of me holding low and also judging him as closer than what he was, when he ducked, it just caught him right across the belly like this, and it really didn't even faze him. That deer probably wasn't hurt whatsoever. Probably didn't even know what happened. Good chance he'll be back, and maybe I'll get another crack at him later in the season. But it happens, guys. So that's why we practice, and it doesn't really matter how much you practice. In the heat of the moment, anything can happen when you're judging distances and your heart's racing, and it's a big buck standing there. Limbs, deer movement when they duck or if they jump, or I mean, there's just a million different things that can happen when you're hunting an animal like that. So, I figured I'd share with you guys. Maybe you can learn something. Every instance is different though, so take it for what you will. But some cool footage nonetheless. I've never had an encounter like that with a real big, 4.5-year-old buck like that, 3.5-year-old buck this early in the season. It's usually later in the season, later in October or early November. So I guess it was cool in that regard, and always happy to see deer like that, regardless of whether you put it on the ground or not. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Lots more footage coming, so if you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, guys.